What is going on, everybody? Data back here for another reaction video for you guys, man. Today we're gonna be checking out another video by WrestleLamia, man. There's been a couple of videos or whatever that have come out over the last couple of days. Obviously, I was away visiting family for Christmas, so I'm getting back in the swing of things. Today we did check out a couple of videos back, the 10 WWE returns that were genuine surprises. This is like the complete opposite of what that video was. 10 WWE returns that were doomed from the start. And obviously it starts off with Batista perching on the top, on the middle rope or whatever, taunting the fans. So I'm kind of curious to see who's on this list, what's on this list. I did not peek at it beforehand. So without further ado, man, we're going to be checking this out. 10 WWE returns that were doomed from the start, man. If you guys like videos like this, short enough to do, make sure you guys smash the subscribe button with the notification bell turned on. Check out my social media accounts, links are in the description. And make sure you guys give the video a like, man. Let's check this out. 10 WWE returns that were doomed from the start.
When a wrestler returns to WWE, sometimes the writing's on the wall from the moment they make their return entrance. Either the fans have zero interest in seeing that
Tensai,
respective wrestler return to the company, or WWE have a bold yet unimaginative plan for the returning talent, which is going to...
I was at that Rumble, man. The Royal Rumble 2001. I believe it was in Boston at the TD Garden, man. Alberto Del Rio ended up winning and then going on to WrestleMania to... I can't remember... I don't think he beat. I think he went to face Edge as the World Heavyweight Champion. He ended up getting beat. But I can't tell you, man, that was a very agonizing drive back home. Because Alberto Del Rio, I was never really a fan, man. Obviously, stuff that has come out, over the last couple of years. I mean, I'm pretty glad that I was never necessarily a fan.
Going to turn the fans completely against them. Join us now as WrestleLamia looks at 10 WWE returns that were doomed from the start.
Check it out. WrestleLamia, man, putting in work once again.
Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new website, WrestleLamia.com. Number 10, Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash 2001 or 2011
throughout his career.
Came back as
and his
Diesel,
return in
man.
2003 was
I was there.
his most infamous. Nash returned on Raw as a new top babyface on the brand, and he was instantly thrown into a feud with Triple H over the world title.
A lot of people didn't seem to like that feud between Kevin Nash and Triple H back in the day, back in Ruthless Aggression. I didn't mind it.
Sadly, fans had no interest in seeing Nash in this role.
I did not mind it.
No doubt still had something to offer, it just wasn't what the fans wanted to see at the time, especially when SmackDown had the likes of Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle putting on in-ring classics on what seemed like a weekly basis. Nash also returned to the company for a brief stint in 2011. He initially returned at the 2011 Royal Rumble, and to his credit, he received an enormous pop. Yet Nash having a full-blown return wasn't something that anyone was
up by the
pushing
WrestleMania
for.
sign, man.
Nash would return yet again at the 2011 SummerSlam pay-per-view, and he would enter into a weird program with CM Punk that was supposed to lead to a matchup.
That was close
Nash
to next. That was next to where the pipe bomb was, man.
Went in a different direction.
That was
and
pipe
instead,
bomb
Nash
Punk.
was once again feuding with Triple H. Nash will always be a pro wrestling legend, but there's no denying that his numerous WWE returns have failed to hit the mark. Number 9, Test. In 2006, WWE decided to give former Intercontinental Champion Test another shot in the company. Test would join the dreaded ECW brand, and upon his return, it was apparent that he had put on a considerable amount of muscle, and he looked to be in
ECW brand
shape.
Was like what was the WWE or Ring of Honor? It seems like it's the AEW.
The ECW faithful ultimately didn't want a
For those of you that didn't watch the product back then.
Roster. The Test return was doomed to fail, and to nobody's surprise, he received little to no reaction as he returned without a fleshed-out character, and it wasn't before long that he was completely lost in the shuffle. Number 8, Goldberg. Upon returning to WWE in 2016, Goldberg was
I remember this. He came back for his son and wife.
He had one match against Brock Lesnar at the Survivor Series event, and this was presented as if it was going to be his farewell matchup in pro wrestling. However, just a few short months later, Goldberg returned yet again, and this time he was
Kevin Owens,
for the
man.
world title.
Kevin Owens is an underrated talent, I feel like.
The 2017 Fastlane event, and WWE, for whatever reason, booked Goldberg to squash the young star. This meant that Goldberg was now Universal Champion, and this was something
that's
that
why
really
Goldberg is
These
hated,
returns
man.
continue to happen for the next several years, and WWE booked something similar when Goldberg
squashing guys like The Fiend and Bray Wyatt and Kevin Owens, man.
Definitely hindered the relationship between Goldberg and the fans, and it's likely to never recover. Number 7, Gail Kim.
Gail Kim.
In late
Gail Kim, I heard
2008,
works for
Gail
Impact.
Kim
She
made
works
the
for
bold decision to
she
leave
works
behind
with like the
TNA
women's
in favor
talent.
of returning to WWE. Kim was a mega star in TNA, and her matches against Awesome Kong
Awesome
are arguably
Kong.
amongst the most influential
I remember
women's
her little
matches in
stint in
wrestling history.
WWE.
Kim returning to
She
WWE
left when
at
she
the
was
time,
pregnant,
in which
and then
women
she
were
never
barely
came
given
back.
substantial storylines on WWE
I think
TV,
they fired her during
and
her
if they were
fucking
on TV at all,
pregnancy.
it was usually for nonsensical segments or matches that didn't give an ounce of credibility to the women's roster. Kim had high hopes for a return, but it was sadly doomed from the start. Kim's initial presentation was strong, however it didn't take long for WWE to completely forget Kim was even signed to the company, and she would barely be featured. Kim discussed her disastrous return to WWE during an interview with 411 Wrestling. When I went back, I did clear my path in terms of how I felt, and I really was optimistic. And at the time, I remember, because it was past the Diva Search and all that stuff, that kind had already long gone, and they were starting to have the women wrestle again. And so I felt very positive, and I was like, okay, I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I have more experience under my belt, and I've done the stuff with Awesome Kong, so it did build more confidence. And so I went back. It was disappointing. I'll say that I never felt like I was used to my potential, you know? They had seen what I'd done in TNA, and that's why they hired me back. And so I would think a logical...
I mean, I will say, WWE has a habit of not booking or not, using the women, to their full potential, So, I mean, that's not anything new. So, going back there, you kind of... you should have, at the very least, expected it.
Thing would be to use you to your best ability. And you know what is great about that person, about the talents that the person had? But I never felt like that was happening. Kim's exit for a second run was notable as she decided to eliminate herself from a battle royal as an act of protest when it came to how the women were treated in WWE. She would then...
I was going to say she eliminated herself by going under the bottom rope instead of over the top rope. Was that much of a leap, man, to actually like legitimately eliminate yourself? Instead of just, rolling out of the ring and then going to the back. I don't know.
Then quit the company before smartly returning to TNA. Number 6, Lord Tensai.
Lord Tensai, man,
WWE
Matt Bloom.
made a huge mistake when they brought back Matt Bloom. Instead of giving Bloom one of his established WWE personas, they decided to give him a gimmick of Lord Tensai. And upon the minute he re-debuted on WWE
weird,
TV,
man.
It was clear that this was
I
want to
see Albert back, man. I didn't want to see fucking Lord Tensai.
And despite the negative chants,
dude
WWE
wrestling as a fucking Chinese anime character that has no Chinese in him.
Eventually, WWE realized that the Tensai character was never going to take off, and Tensai was quickly relegated to the role of a comedic act. Number 5, Eva Marie.
Oh, God.
From the moment it was reported that WWE had re-signed Eva Marie.
Eva Marie apparently is like one of the most, among the fans, one of the most hated women pro wrestlers on the planet.
Even though she had heel heat,
she's like right up there with Nia Jax, I feel like.
Needed for the main roster. When she returned, fans were hoping that Eva would have been able to improve somewhat, but she was arguably even worse. Eva had some atrocious matches during the run, including a critically panned SummerSlam match with former women's champion Alexa Bliss. It's hardly a surprise that her run was a total failure, and Eva claims that there's even a chance that she could return to WWE in the future, but this certainly shouldn't be at the top of WWE's list of priorities.
Please, no. I don't want to see that.
Fans were elated when
Kurt Angle, man.
finally returned
I didn't
to
mind
WWE
him coming back for
as
as a GM, to be honest.
But there was a major issue when it came to Angle during his final run in the company. The issue with Angle's return was that due to a long and documented history with injuries, Angle wasn't in a position to have 5-star classic matches. Whilst Angle started off as Raw General Manager, it didn't take long for him to transition into a wrestler once again. Angle's matches with AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and the infamous Baron Corbin matchup failed to deliver, and it was evident that Angle was ready to retire. But in order
of everybody that was capable of having faced Kurt Angle at WrestleMania in his retirement match, who in their right mind thought it would be a good idea to put Baron Corbin in that position? It didn't make Angle look good, and I mean, look at what the fuck it did to Baron Corbin. It didn't push him to the forefront. It didn't push him to the main event. It didn't, push him to be, one of the top names in WWE. It literally did nothing. This match accomplished nothing, man. And that's why I didn't, I would have put AJ Styles, I would have put, anybody in this position more than Baron Corbin. Because it didn't benefit him in any way, It's not like WWE was like, that was a great match, man. We're gonna give you a massive push within the company. No! He had this match and then fucking, a couple weeks later, he was fucking jobbing out on TV. I don't know, man. Just some of the idiotic decisions that WWE, like under the old administration, was just not very good, not very smart decisions, in my opinion. I feel like Kurt Angle deserves another retirement match, but I don't think he's in any position, to be honest with you.
Well, they should have added limited to matches in order to keep Angle's aura and star power intact. Number 3,
Scott Steiner in 2002.
In late 2002,
I didn't necessarily
WWE
mind
re-signed
this.
Scott
I like
Steiner.
the feud.
Judging by Steiner's
between him
initial
and
reaction to the Survivor Series, there was a definitive buzz surrounding his return.
when
Even though
Stacey
Steiner
Keibler was
a big deal in
involved. I didn't mind
WCW,
that.
The late 2002 landscape of WWE was vastly different. Steiner had drop foot syndrome, and this limited his ability to even have passable matches, and his world title matches with Triple H in 2003 were unbelievably bad. Steiner's second run being a colossal failure was ultimately WWE's error. It was widely reported that WWE were fully aware that Steiner had drop foot, and how on earth they expected him to have world title level matches with his issue is anyone's guess. Number 2, Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey's first WWE run exceeded all expectations. Rousey was passionate, hardworking, and she managed to have great matches with everyone in the women's division. When Rousey returned to WWE in 2022, fans hoped for the same, but something was missing. The fire Rousey had in her initial run had disintegrated, and
Bro, it almost feels like when Ronda Rousey came back for her, like, you know, after a long absence, after, like, the triple threat match at WrestleMania between, the main event between her, Charlotte, and Becky, and, you know, obviously she left for, like, a year and a half, and then she came back, she had a kid or whatever. It just feel like when she came back, what made Ronda Rousey so great on television, it was just, like, stripped away, and it was just all about a paycheck for her. It's like her heart and her spirit, I guess you could say, wasn't in being a pro wrestler. You know, it was all about, you know, I want to, you know, I can do this for a couple months and, you know, make a pretty good payday. And that's what it felt like. You know, we don't need Ronda Rousey in WWE anymore.
And it was if she was going through the motions. Rousey's feuds with Charlotte Flair, Liv Morgan, and even Shayna Baszler all fell flat. She went from being the biggest name on the roster to barely being mentioned on TV as fans just stopped caring. And number
That's
1,
because nobody
Batista.
likes Ronda Rousey,
The return
bro.
of Batista in 2014 couldn't have come at a worse time. WWE fans had firmly chosen Daniel Bryan as the top babyface in the company. However, WWE wanted this to be Batista. When Batista returned,
Bro, this was during the Yes Movement, man. I don't think anything was hotter than fucking Daniel Bryan during the Yes Movement, bro. Like, he was, like, everywhere, but WWE management, for whatever reason, you know, he was a smaller stature guy, didn't have a lot of muscle, he wasn't, like, the bodybuilder type that Vince McMahon got off on. You know, WWE just, the management of WWE and the old administration did not want to push him. They did not realize how great the fucking guy was until he finally did main event WrestleMania, until he finally did, you know, get that brass ring and fucking run with it. You know what I mean? It's just, like I said, man, some of the decisions that were made during the old administration of WWE were some of the worst decisions any human being could fucking make, bro.
the fans outright rejected everything he did. This ruined all the WWE's
that was when
plans.
Batista wanted another match with Triple H and he attacked Ric Flair backstage. I remember that.
It took WWE some time, but they would eventually turn the WWE legend back into a heel, which was the right move, but it was too little, too late. Speaking about this less than stellar return during an appearance on Lillian Garcia's podcast, Batista stated, "It was horrible. I try not to take it personally, but I really did, and it hurt because it's hard to tell people that you want to be there for the right reasons, but they don't want to hear it. They don't care why you're there. They just don't want you there. I felt I was where I wanted to be, and we were pushing the personal stuff aside. I was kind of getting past that, but I had to leave. I had to go promote Guardians of the Galaxy. I was obligated to do that." But there you have it, folks. 10 WWE returns that were doomed
there we
from
go.
the start. Which return was the worst? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.
More wrestling content. Damn, guys, man. Another great list and another great rundown, man. One thing I love about WrestleMania is, you know, he doesn't just give you the names. He explains as to why each individual person was on this list to begin with, or on any list that they do create and talk about. I fucking love it, man. I love it. I definitely understand why majority of the people were on this list. Like, in hindsight, like looking back at it, Scott Steiner's, I guess, debut in 2002, I didn't really necessarily mind. I do feel like that was still in the somewhat prime of who, you know, what Scott Steiner was capable of, you know, still relatively early. You know, he was wrestling in WCW like 2 years prior before it got bought out by, or a year prior before Vince McMahon ended up buying the company and shutting it down or whatever. So it wasn't like, he was, it was, 20 years after he had his last match that he came back, vice versa. Kevin Nash coming back, during that whole feud with Triple H and, back in the day. And, those two I didn't necessarily mind. Obviously, the 2011 when he was feuding with Punk, I do understand. A lot of the things I do understand, as to why they're on this list. And I pretty much explained why. And, my point of view when it comes to, certain returns or whatever that were just pretty much mediocre at best, man. So, if you liked my opinions, make sure you guys smash the subscribe button with the notification bell turned on. Make sure you guys give the video a like. Subscribe to WrestleMania. They put out great content. And I'll see you guys next time, man. Peace.